Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics Snake Man-At-Arms. When Snake Man-At-Arms was initially revealed, he appeared as nothing more than a rehash of the original Man-At-Arms figure with a new head, and he was received very poorly. How did the final figure turn out? Let's take a look. Snake Man-At-Arms comes in the standard Masters of the Universe Classics blister card packaging. Notice that he has the Snake Man insignia sticker on the front of his blister. He also includes issue number 2 of the brand new mini-comic, which you can see tucked behind him in the package. It's pretty cool seeing a comic behind the figure again, just like in the vintage days. The back of that package features a look at other figures in the line, as well as a brand new bio for Snake Man-At-Arms. Alright, taking a look at Snake Man-At-Arms out of the packaging, there's actually quite a lot of detail to notice here. This is a figure where Mattel listened to the fans and their criticisms, and made several updates to the figure to make it feel a little more special. The armor that he's wearing is the same as the original Man-At-Arms release, but with a new paint job. The orange is much lighter this time around, with a lot of really nice golden details. The tank on the front of the armor is also painted blue this time around, with some nice metallic blue highlights. The armor covers his left arm per usual, but has that same newly detailed paint job. You'll also notice that the left hand is painted the same orange this time and not green. The left leg is the same, featuring that same armored covered section, but the boot is painted that same orange color. And that left foot is the plain boot foot instead of the furry boot foot. He's wearing the longer loincloth this time around. And the basic body underneath all of the armor is not just the standard human buck. He's utilizing the legs and arms from figures like Trapjaw and Roboto, giving him a much more teched out armor look underneath. The overall paint job on this figure is pretty incredible. The only part I feel is a little weak is the blue brace on his right hand, which is merely just painted over the arm. But the rest of the paint job is very well done. He has a lot of little paint apps for detail that we've lacked on recent figures like Stinkor and Horde Prime. And are you starting to see a connection here? Well, there is one, and we'll look at that in a little more detail in just a bit. First, let's take a look at that new snake head. The figure includes a newly sculpted head of Man-At-Arms as transformed into a Snake Man. This, of course, is a plot from the Mike Young Productions cartoon series. The sculpt is really beautiful, with a lot of detailing in the scales of his skin and a great paint job. The helmet he's wearing is great as well, and comparing it to the original Man-At-Arms, you'll notice that the sculpt is slightly different, with a little more detailing around the brim of the helmet. Alright, so let's take a closer look at Snake Man-At-Arms. Now, if you've already got the regular Man-At-Arms figure or any of the other basic human figures, you pretty much know what to expect on this guy. There's not a whole lot of anything special going on here. It's the same Man-At-Arms figure, but he does reuse some different parts this time. You know, we got the Trapjaw legs, we got like the Roboto arms, but otherwise the armor pieces and all that are exactly the same as what we've already seen on Man-At-Arms previously. So he's got the armor over the left arm there. Of course, that is all separate. You can remove that if you want to. It all just sits right over the arm. It doesn't hinder any of the articulation there. Same thing going on with the armor over the left leg, but the articulation all still functions and everything. So Like I said, you've already had Man-At-Arms before. You pretty much know what you're getting. One of the only other differences on here is he does have the longer loincloth this time around instead of the short one, which is very cool, very 2000X-ish. It is made of a nice sturdy plastic. It does have some pliability to it, so it's softer, but it does also feel firm. It's not too soft, and it does not hinder the movement at all. So as far as articulation goes, you got the standard left and right movement, up and down in the head. You got the ball hinge joint shoulders there. You got the swivels at the bicep. You got the single cut at the elbow. You got the swivel at the wrist. You got your torso cut. You got your waist cut. You got your leg articulation, which works well even with the long loincloth. You can still get them in a sitting down pose, so if you want to use them for your wind raid or anything like that, he should function well. You got the swivel, you got the knee joint, you got the swivel at the boot cut, and you got your standard ankle cut, which is the newer ankles. There's no pin showing, so that's very nice. All of the joints on this figure are very, very tight, which is very welcome for a Man-At-Arms. I know my original Man-At-Arms figure probably has one of the loosest pair of ankles on any of my figures. He falls down constantly, so it is kind of nice to have a Man-At-Arms with nice tight articulation. For weapons, Man-At-Arms includes his classic mace. It's the same as before and is made out of a sturdy plastic. It has a new paint job to match his current outfit, including those nice golden highlights. Now this time around, he does not include all of the extra weapons like the sword and the blaster, unfortunately. He does still have that mini weapons rack on his back, however. For his second accessory, Snake Man-At-Arms includes the Serpents Ring. This is kind of a neat accessory. It's what King Hsss used in the MY cartoon to turn people like Man-At-Arms and Teela into Snake Men. So this accessory will work great in the hands of your King Hsss figure, or maybe even in your 2000X King Hsss figure if you want to make it a little more cartoon accurate. It's made of a gold plastic, and it is a bit gummy, so it's easily bent and is probably going to come out of the package warped. Mine did. Lastly, Snake Man-At-Arms comes with the second issue of the new Dark Horse mini-comics. Alright, so I spoke earlier of a connection that could be made with all of the new armor updates. Here it is. If you pop off the regular Man-At-Arms head from the first release figure and you place it on this body, you have yourself a nearly perfect 2000X styled Man-At-Arms. Sure, the armor isn't as big and elaborate as the 2000X one was, but with the more tech-looking green armor underneath, the lighter orange with the blue tank on the front, and the longer loincloth, he looks very much like the 2000X redesign of the character. Mattel even has the blue arm cannon coming out sometime in the near future, which will help complete his look. But in the meantime, you can always use the arm cannon from the 2000X figure. It really helps give him that overall 2000X feel. So, it's comparison time! You can see the similarities between these two here. This will give 2000X fans a chance to display a much more accurate Man-At-Arms figure on their toy shelf. Many people were pretty upset with the initial reveal of this figure, because he seemed like nothing more than a cheap reuse of parts that included less accessories than the first release figure did. But I think this figure is a great example of how Mattel will listen to the fans when there is enough of an outcry for change. Sure, the figure is nothing more than a repaint, but he's a good repaint. The paint job is great, the new snake head is really a beautiful sculpt, but most importantly, you can mishmash all of these figure parts to make yourself your most desired Man-At-Arms figure. I think all of those updates makes this figure worth purchasing after all. Until next time,